Hello again, I'm Doug Smith, and welcome to this week's edition of Portsmouth This Week, the voice of Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Our special guest today is Ray Antaya. Ray's the recycling coordinator for Portsmouth, and the topic is going to be waste management in Portsmouth. Not a very sexy sounding topic, but it's a very important one, I think, for residents because some major changes are on the horizon here. Welcome back, Ray.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
You've been in here in the past talking about the need for more recycling, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But today we're going to be talking about some changes, upcoming changes to the whole system, essentially, of waste management here in Portsmouth. And it's going to have a big impact on Portsmouth residents. Can we start by talking about the system as it is now and how it's funded and that kind of stuff?
Okay. Well, everyone in Portsmouth is fairly familiar with the transfer station as we operate it and what the sticker fees are. Everyone today has to pay $160 for a yearly sticker. But I get a lot of questions that people ask me, well, where does the money go? Why is it, why do our rates go up? And so we put together a small scenario here that explains to everyone, how the funds are used and how they're paid. If this is everyone here with a sticker, say you come in, you pay your sticker fees, that money goes into what is called an enterprise fund, the town solid waste fund, a fund that stands individual by itself. It's not part of the town budget. And from that fund, we then have to pay a number of different options, if you will. We have to pay different vehicles here for that $160. Say that $160 comes in. We have to pay landfill costs, the tipping fees at the landfill.
Explain a tipping fee. That just means how much they weigh the trucks and then they
determine
how many pounds of trash?
They charge per ton. Now, last year, Portsmouth had 4,300 tons. We usually average around 4,000.
But that's what we mean by the tipping fee.
The tipping fee is how much we pay per ton. As of July 1st, it's going to go up from $32 a ton to $39.50 per ton.
Yeah. We'll get
Next
into
year,
that more
it's going to increase even more. But the enterprise fund pays for the tipping fees. It pays for the hauling of the material to Johnston, and it also pays for the contractor, whoever's running the transfer station. That eats up the bulk of that enterprise fund. Additional monies go to management and operations, taking care of the building itself, maintenance.
Yeah.
But that's
so that's kind of how it runs right now.
That's how it is, and we operate almost at a complete balance. With that $160 covers, that's the essential costs.
Okay, and this is a fund that's basically everything's brought in and paid for specifically for the transfer station operation.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
In most communities, waste management is part of the town budget and is paid for by taxes. I know several years ago in Portsmouth we had a town tent meeting that took waste management out of the budget so that the town council at the time wouldn't have to raise taxes that year. And since then, the operation of this system uses fees from individual residents to pay for transfer station operations. What are the major changes that are going to occur over the next couple of years?
Well, initially, J.R. Vinagro, who now manages the station, was scheduled by contract to be leaving. The contract was going to expire as of July 1st. And when we became aware of that, we sent out initially for some RFPs from companies to see what it would cost to continue, to take over the operation of the transfer station. Those estimates came back considerably higher than we're paying now. And in fact, we were a bit shocked from it. So the town, with J.R. Vinagro, has agreed to extend their contract until the end of the year, which is a good thing because then it puts us on a calendar year footing. But starting January 1st, a new company needs to come in and either manage the transfer station, or there are various options available to the people of Portsmouth as to what method of waste management they want to have going forward. But the fees will be increasing for everyone in one way or another in the town.
Okay, so we know tipping fees are going up, and we know by how much.
Exactly.
We know hauling fees are going to go up, but we don't know how much, right?
No, they will increase. We pay about $175 per hauling fee now, and I've seen $195, $200 per hauling fee.
Okay, so we know they're going up. We don't know the exact dollar figure.
Right, they will be going up.
And then, as you say, if we have a new contract for running the transfer station, we don't know exactly what that's going to be.
Not exactly, but we're looking at a doubling of fees to do that. Right now, the cost to the consumer, the sticker price may even double under that scenario.
Yeah.
And I know that's almost an unacceptable
Well,
option.
yeah, and we'll look at some of these options here, and none of the options are going to be very easy to take for a town resident, but I think it's a fact of life. Things are going up.
Unfortunately, Portsmouth finds itself in almost like a perfect storm where the increase in
Yeah.
tipping fees and a new contractor,
Yeah.
everything's coalescing.
Well, and the thing is, I think we've seen in the paper recently, people like Newport and Middletown also concerned about the tipping fee increased. So, what are our options here? I mean, we have a system that works now, but it's going to start. The costs are going to start skyrocketing. So, what kind of options do we have?
Well, I have this. What are the options essential for the town for the residents of Portsmouth? We can keep this transfer station operating as it is now. That the fees we're looking at possibly doubling if we status quo, if we keep everything the same.
Okay, so probably over $300.
300, 320. I've seen ranges from 270 to 320. Nothing's fixed yet. None of these prices are fixed, but that's estimates moving forward. Another option would be pay-as-you-throw, where you could take your, the pay-as-you-throw bags.
Yeah.
Middletown does it. Tiverton uses the same method, and the residents could take the bags or tags, put a tag on the bag, and take that up to the transfer station themselves. Positives of that are that it would, one, increase our recycling rate, because the system of the bags or the tags literally forces someone to put more into their recycling. You only pay for that trash which you put into your pay-as-you-throw bag. And
you don't need a bag for recyclables.
And you do not need a bag for recycling.
Now, do you have any idea what bags might cost? I mean, how you're...
I know Middletown charge, there's a $1.50 for a smaller bag and $2 for a larger bag, about a 30 or 33-gallon bag. So if you're taking your materials and putting more recyclables, and rather than saying, oh, that bottle can, I don't care, I'll just put it in the trash and throw it away. No, now you're going to think twice before you fill up that pay-as-you-throw bag. And another positive about one of these variable rate programs is that every bag is accountable for. I mean, I worked a number of Saturdays up at the transfer station where folks come through with pickup trucks full of bags every week. And there's no way those individuals are, it's just for their household alone.
Yeah, right.
You know, some folks buy one sticker and they pick up from multiple homes. In a variable rate program, whether it be tags or bags, every bag is accounted for.
Yeah,
a more honest system.
Yeah, I would think bags would probably work better because tags are
difficult.
You have to see the right side of the bag. And
exactly.
All that stuff.
I mean, some towns do that, but it is difficult.
So the bags would cost upwards of perhaps $2 a bag for somebody that uses a lot of trash, a family perhaps. That'd be, let's say 2 bags a week.
Sure.
That'd be what? $200
well, yes, that'd be maybe $200 a year.
Okay.
But if you are focused on recycling, and if we increase our recycling, we'll have a savings on the tipping fees, as well, because we'll be using less trash. And then once we reach 25%, we're at 24.3% right now on our recycling rate. And if we get to 25%, we're going to pay $1 less per ton on tipping.
Okay.
And all the way up to almost $3 less.
Yeah, but not only the savings on tipping, people can save how many bags they use because of the
It's an equitable system.
Recycling.
And because, not that it penalizes large families, but if you're using more trash, if you have more trash, then it only would make more sense that maybe perhaps you should pay a little bit more than a single person or an elderly couple that might use one bag every 2 weeks.
Sure, no, I can understand that. So essentially, let's say for a family of 4 or something, $200 a year for bags perhaps, but again, they can control that somewhat.
Right.
But then what about the transfer station fees? Would they stay the same, go up anyway?
The money's garnished from a bag or a tag program. The bags cost 27 cents a bag. That money would then be generated and put back into the enterprise fund.
Okay.
And
so the delta of what that pays for would be what your transfer station fees would be.
That would reduce the fees of whatever they are. Say we're spending $160 now, and a new contractor comes in at $300 or $270 to operate. Well, through the purchase of the bags, that infusion of cash into the enterprise fund will allow us to keep the sticker price essentially the same
Without going up?
without going up.
Okay.
And then it falls, the onus of the bag purchase falls on the individuals.
Okay. Now, what are some other options? I know you guys are thinking about the option of some kind of town contracted curbside pickup. You want to talk about those
Yeah.
for a second?
Curbside pickup has a convenience as well as a cost implication. Everything we're talking about has those two elements, whether it's a more convenient
Sure.
for you or more costly for you. Curbside pickup, if this is what the people, the residents of Portsmouth are interested in, we will pursue that from different companies. We don't have any quotes that have come back to us yet on what the curbside pickup would cost. Right now, 4,000 households in town have stickers, but there's another 3,300 households that do not. The more people that would participate in a curbside pickup program, the lower the cost would be to those individuals.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, now, the cost of that, would the cost of that curbside pickup program be funded through the transfer station fund, or would it be up to the individual household?
well, that hasn't been, established, but any of the monies that come in, I would imagine, would have the option of either that money being put into the enterprise fund or being put into the budget, in which case we would then pay for the town contract.
Okay, but the bottom line is that individual people, residents, are
Essentially, yeah, residents
going to
do
pay more, but it'd be very, very convenient to have your trash picked up.
It is a convenience.
And you'd have to recycle as well, right?
Right. A lot of towns have the no recycle bin. They're not going to pick up your trash. It's called a no bin, no pickup policy.
Okay.
What goes along with curbside, though, is you have the convenience, once again, of, say, picking up your yard waste on alternate weeks.
Yeah.
Which is a big
Items like old
bulky
chairs,
items like
sofas.
sofas, refrigerators. A lot of towns, and we're looking at that as well, like say $5 to be rid of your sofa. Say.
Okay.
Right now, that goes right into our waste mainstream, and that just adds to the weights,
Right.
increasing our costs.
Sure.
So
Now,
if we can offset that.
with this option, this town contracted curbside, will we keep the transfer station operation as well?
I imagine that there are towns that everything there's different scenarios,
Sure.
but one scenario is yes, where they could come and still use the diversions, those articles off to the right when you go into the transfer station, your metals,
Yeah.
your C&D, mattress
Yard waste.
drop-off, yard waste.
Yeah.
Maintain that, and a town contracted curbside may use our transfer station for compacting materials, therefore you have to do less hauling, or in some towns they take it right directly to themselves after pickup.
Okay.
So that would have to be sorted out and
Yeah, I
negotiated.
think there's a lot of things here that have to
A
be
lot of
sorted
things
out.
have to be
Now,
sorted.
let me ask you this. Has the town issued an RFP for curbside pickup? Just to,
No, the ones that we did send out when we thought that J.R. Vinagro was leaving on July 1st, we didn't have specifics. We didn't want to see, the town didn't want to be seen as soliciting any particular service. We did ask for innovative ideas to come back from these companies.
Okay.
And really, there was only one of the, say, Company A that said that they couldn't give us a definite figure for what that cost would be. They gave us a wide range between $600,000 and $1.1 million, depending on the number of residents participating and the level of service they would want from
Yeah.
that curbside.
okay. And regardless of all that, assuming that the transfer station continues in operation, there'll also be a transfer station sticker fee, right?
Yes. I mean,
So essentially, residents will be paying through their taxes or through the enterprise fund or themselves for curbside pickup with a contractor, and then they'd also have a transfer station sticker fee if they wanted to use the transfer station. Is that
that would be minimal if you're going to use it only for diversions. I mean,
Okay.
that would.
so? That would be lower than perhaps it is now for the sticker.
Oh yes. I mean, Bristol charges $25 for a transfer station fee, and they have curbside pickup.
Okay.
And that gives the residents that option
Yeah.
to get rid of their diversions.
Okay. And then the final option that we have here, there may be others, but the final option is pay-as-you-throw bags into that mix and have curbside pickup.
Yeah, the benefits to pay-as-you-throw with the curbside, or whether you take it to the transfer station, is that one, you're in control of the cost, essentially, with how much waste you throw away. And any money coming in through a variable rate program like pay-as-you-throw, those dollars would go into the enterprise fund, which would assist us in keeping the rates as low as we possibly can
Okay.
for the sticker.
for the transfer station.
Correct.
Yeah, so the transfer station, I would think, could drop considerably if you went to pay-as-you-throw, because people are paying extra fees. Again, the advantage is that people can then determine themselves how many bags they use by recycling all the rest, as much as they can.
Yeah, it seems to be an equitable system. You know, with larger families, maybe have to pay a little bit more, but for years, the single folk and the elderly who have very little trash have had to share the burden or pay for those who have more. So,
yeah, but one of the issues here is kind of, I think, shown nicely on this graph, is we need to recycle better in order to get the better rates for tipping, but also, I think, if the prices are going to increase for waste management in town, individuals are going to have to take charge of their recycling.
I mean, these are some examples of the nearby towns that have adopted the pay-as-you-throw program. And Middletown is at 39% in 2016 with their recycling rate. Tiverton was at 31%, Newport at 31%, and Portsmouth, we were at dismal 21%.
Yeah.
We can do better. We can do better. It's an easy system right now to abuse, and when you have sofas being thrown into the waste stream and bags with unknown quantities of recyclables mixed in with those bags being thrown in, it's not a good system.
Yeah, it sounds tough, and it sounds like, I guess what people need to take away from this session is that prices are going to go up, that you're looking at all different options to try to keep the prices reasonable for the service that you provide. How can people weigh in on this thing? How can people, and I'm sure people may be seeing this for the first time on this program, how can people weigh in on this? How can people say, this is what I want, or have you looked at this or something?
Sure. What we're doing first is this interview to try to inform the residents of what some of their options are coming down the road, and the fact that there's going to be a pay increase. But what they can do in the future is a survey is going to go out in the next week or so to the residents of Portsmouth. It'll be online. It will be at the library. It'll be at the transfer station. It'll be at Town Hall. We want like as many people as possible to participate in this survey. And this survey will simply seek to focus what their interests are as to the future of waste collection in Portsmouth. And those will come back to us. We'll cull the results of that. And following that, an RFP will have to go out fairly soon for what the future will be. There will be town meetings, meetings before the council. No decision is going to, we're not shifting, we're not geared towards any particular method. We want to hear what the people of Portsmouth have to say, understanding that there's going to be an increase in price no matter what we do.
And also understanding that you're up against some severe time constraints here.
We are
doing everything in 6 months.
We have to have a new contractor in place by January 1st. And so that's, I've been told that some of these companies need more than 2, 3, 4 months to initiate a new system.
Yeah.
So the sooner we can try to get a handle on this, the better.
Okay.
You know.
And we're hoping that the survey will be up and online in a couple of weeks.
It should be up definitely within a couple of weeks.
Okay, that's good. So the survey will be online, but it'll also be in paper copies.
Correct.
At those places you mentioned.
Yeah.
How else can they learn more about this stuff? Are you going to have information on the town website, for example?
Well, there is information on the website now that details what the program is. I mean, taking it up to Johnston with the tipping fees, what you can recycle. It's called the A to Z list. Everything that you could possibly recycle is listed in that. It's through the Rhode Island Resource Corporation, and we have links on our website to access their website. So.
Okay, and then push comes to shove, they can talk to you, or they can email you, or
they can call me, and I'll do my best to tell them what the options are and what the potential costs might be. As you can see, we're going to have the survey. It'll be on our website, and it's going to be going out within the next 2 weeks or so.
Okay, that's good. So this is one of those issues that people need to get involved in if they want to have a say, because it's going to be a rapidly changing.
Yeah, we have some great active individuals in this town who are very passionate about this subject, who will bring their ideas to the table, and we're hoping to hear from them, because you want to cull all of this information before we decide, or the town makes a decision.
Okay, And one of the keys here is recycling. It seems, goes back to your job to begin with, right?
Right.
And I know you've got some changes to some of the guidelines right now. I wondered if you want to talk about those for a few minutes.
Okay. Well, some of them. Well, I'm sorry, the lights are in my eyes here. But the shredded paper is a big change that's occurred recently. Up until now, everyone's been able to take their shredded paper to the transfer station. We asked that it would be double bagged, and you could do it as a recyclable. Well, all of those bags that are going up to Johnston are ripping in the trucks when they get there, or upon entry or being tipped, they're ripping, and it's like a snowstorm up at the Johnston landfill. So they say no more of the shredded paper.
Okay, this is paper that people might shred in their own home
shredded paper, but now it has to go into the trash. You still need to bag it in a plastic bag so it's not flying around everywhere.
Yeah, right.
But no longer in the recyclables.
Okay,
it goes into the trash.
Yeah, that could be a big one for a lot of people with businesses and things, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on that note, we're looking to have a shred it day, probably the third week of July. So if folks can just keep their eyes on the newspaper or on site, and that's going to, I believe, July 22nd.
And you're going to allow people to do what on that day?
It's a 3-hour event. The company's called Shred It, and you can bring.
You can come and shred.
You can come shred all of your materials, and that's a convenience that would be offered to the residents.
Okay.
Another thing about the transfer station, there are 2 lanes at the transfer station. There's the right-hand side, which is for those folks that have diversions. They want to drop off their metal or their yard waste, etc. And the left-hand side is for going right directly into the transfer station. What residents need to remember is they need to pull all the way forward when they get into that transfer station, because if they don't, they're blocking cars from going around to the far side. Now, I understand trucks have a hard time. Some trucks have no problem with getting around the corner, but a lot of folks are a little reluctant, larger SUVs. That's understandable. But if they pull all the way forward, it does open up the back where everyone can, and it'll speed things up a lot, for residents there. Cardboard boxes, they don't want to have anything larger than a 3-foot by 5-foot. When I say they, I mean the Rhode Island Resource Corporation.
Okay.
They ask if you can break down the boxes.
Big cardboard boxes,
big cardboard,
break them down small.
Break them down if you can. We have an event coming up at Portsmouth High School for e-waste and Eco Depot on June 17th. At the last e-waste that was held there May 6th, the town was gathered 12,000 pounds, over 12,000 pounds of electronic waste.
Do those have fees attached to them, though?
No.
I went to one once, I thought.
Well, there is a fee if you bring a coolant, I believe, to the e-waste. If you bring something like a...
but I mean other electronic stuff or...
And essentially anything with a plug is free of charge.
Okay. It seems like I went up there once and I found out there was a fee, and I didn't have much anyway, so...
Yeah.
I just said, forget it, I'm not going to get involved. Yeah, so it seems like plastic bags are a particular problem because they get in the food chain down the road and they're in the ocean screwing everything up. And a lot of people are looking, I think Newport even has had a new law saying you can't use those when you sell things. There's also those newspaper bags. And there's a lot, we use a lot of this stuff because it's convenient, but it's a real problem. And you say there are containers at the transfer station right now or go into the people's trash.
Right. If you go to the transfer station now, just before you exit, to either side there's a barrel that is there purposely for taking your plastic bags.
Okay.
What will make it
easy.
It's
on the way out.
It's on the way out, but you can just throw your plastic bags
what I do.
right into the trash.
Okay.
But there are places like Clements Market that has the blue. You see the blue restore boxes where you can return clean bags and put it in there, and they recycle them.
Okay.
So that's a positive as well. Anything we can do to increase recycling is to a benefit to this people.
Well, recycling is the key, I think, going forward, and we'll kind of finish with that. But I know you have recycle bins. These are plastic bins that are kind of marked for recycles up at the town hall.
Right.
What are you charging for those? And
that's a 22-gallon container, and we charge $7 for that. And we also have compost bins that are sold for $45, and there are also rain barrels available. We can get
so you guys are actually in the market you're doing all that stuff.
We're trying it. We make it available.
This all goes into the enterprise.
This all goes into the enterprise fund, and we're trying our best to provide these options to the residents.
Okay. Anything new on yard waste aside from, because we're getting a lot of it now. People are cleaning up their yards.
Starting in April, the crunch hit us at the transfer station in May and June. Last month we had 90 tons of yard waste. All I would ask is that people try not to abuse the yard waste issue. They should be in the bags, your leaves, your smaller items in those paper bags, the yard bags. And if you have twigs, that they should be bundled up. I mean, I've seen tree limbs brought in there,
Yeah.
you know, or large stumps. We cannot accept anything much more than 3 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
So, and if we go to curbside pickup, those rules will definitely be in effect, where
Yeah.
you would need to bundle your twigs and keep your yard waste in bags. So.
Sure. Now, the thing is, where would people dispose of things like that, though, that you can't accept at the transfer station?
What do you
Just
mean?
out of curiosity, let's say you had a big stump, you want to get rid of it, but what would they do with it?
Well, I imagine they could take it up to the Johnston landfill, but we can't take it.
Okay.
You
Yeah. I mean,
know,
no, it sounds like
you
something
know,
too big. It could mess
too
up
big.
your
That would
entire
be
system
yeah.
there.
I mean, to lower the costs, the more we recycle, you know, the lower the cost to operate.
I think that's the key. You want to show that slide real quick just to see how poorly we're doing compared to our neighbors. Something we have to improve, but I think once we come up with a scheme that makes it cost effective for people to do this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't necessarily the fault of the people. We're trying our very best in Portsmouth to recycle.
Yeah.
The people in Middletown and Tiverton, they have an advantage with the pay-as-you-throw, because it almost guarantees you're going to have an increase in your recycling rate. And again, those monies that would be generated would simply assist us in keeping the cost low. So it's a good option for people to consider, but it's not the only option.
Yeah.
But just my point being that everything's going to cost a little bit more than what we're paying now.
Yeah, and let's just conclude by kind of summarizing. Everything's going up.
Everything
in the
is
area of
going up.
waste management.
This first graph shows you the tipping fees. This is where we are now.
Right.
July 1st, it's going up to $39.50, and in the following year, it's going to go up to $47. That's an increase in fees. We know with the new contractor coming in, it's going to be an increase in cost, possibly doubling. We don't know that because we don't have fixed figures, and the hauling fees are going to go up.
Yeah.
Somebody has to pay for this.
Yeah.
You know, no one gives you something for nothing. And so the people in Portsmouth have to make a choice, and that's what we're going to try to provide, options for them to make that choice with the survey and in town meetings.
Okay. Ray, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you, Doug.
We're just about out of time, but I want to encourage people to go to the town website.
Yes.
Click on the links. When the survey comes out, click on the link and take the survey. You're helping your community and everybody else try to get through this. Doug Smith, all for me today.
Thank you.
See you next time.